All right, everyone, and we're back. Welcome to Wagers on Campus, your home for weekly college football coverage. We are talking more college football playoffs. We have made it to the semifinals, and we are going to be breaking it down. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out. We really appreciate the love. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already done so. But if you're tuning in to listening to me and Xander talk football, specifically the semifinals of the college football playoff, hey, much love. We really appreciate you. So I'm Mayor, and I am here with Xander.
Hello.
Thought you weren't here for a second.
I zoned out. I thought you were going to keep going on the introduction. Let me in a
Yeah,
little early. Let me in the pen a little early there.
I did. But no, you're right. I mean, this week, obviously, we're talking semifinal playoff games. We're going to talk about last round. We're going to do a quick recap of last round. Hear Burns' thoughts on Ohio State and Miami and some of the other games. We'll talk about the current events of college football, some of the transfer portal stuff, and we'll get into a couple of other things as well. So, with that said, Xander, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy New Year. It's the year of the horse for you Chinese zodiacs out there. Although our year hasn't started yet, Chinese New Year is like end of January. So if something's happened to you so far this year, and it's your year, every 12-year cycle, do not fret. The time has not kicked in yet. It's still rollover from Year of the Snake last year.
Mm-hmm. And Year of the Horse, that's your year.
Correct. Yes. Horsing around.
You excited?
That's the title.
Any big
Title of
plans?
the year. Yeah, horsing around all year.
Love that.
Just getting in the saddle. How about that? Saddling up for a year we only get once every 12. And if I can recall, 24, pretty strong year. First year out of college, get hired to a big firm.
Mm-hmm.
12, pretty good year. Pretty good year from what I recall. Moved to great city of Toledo, Ohio. Made some quick friends. Joined the ice hockey team. It was a big year, and then of course 90. What a great year! Born.
Hell yeah. Just kicking and screaming. Loving life.
You know what Chinese zodiac you are?
Rooster, I believe.
You're a coxman.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too shocking.
That
That means you're coming up here pretty soon. 2029, you'll be 36, huh?
That's exciting.
Were you born in 93?
I was.
Yeah, you are a rooster.
Turn me up.
You got maybe you're a bit of a secret zodiac guy. You should be following the signs more than going in your gut.
Yeah, I am a secret zodiac sign between an interest at an early age to, horoscopes, to one of my idols and favorite players of all time, Aaron Rodgers, to getting involved with that, to going to the Nashville Zoo around Christmas time last year, and they had all of the Chinese New Year animals like as statues, big, lit up with descriptions on each one. So you could say this isn't my first rodeo with this type of stuff.
Yeah, that's a great showing they got there. I think it's every other year. Zoolumination. We checked that out a couple years ago. That's a hell of a setup they got. If you can get out there on a nice day, we're sitting here Jan 7. Got the significant other on the patio right now. It's 62 out in Nashville.
Beautiful,
man.
Yeah, It was 75 this afternoon here in Jacksonville. Just makes me think about all the cold, gray winters that we grew up with in the Midwest, and makes me appreciate this area just a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you think. Is that should everyone just should there be a mandatory growing up period in the Midwest, and then you get kicked out and cycle in for the next trough of kids?
I think that's fair, man. Growing up in the Midwest, it teaches you hard work, blue collarness, resilience, walking in the cold,
Yeah, I
uphill.
mean, you're going to be raising some Florida guys that are just going to be dropping hang loose on adults.
Yeah.
They're gonna have their toes in the sand 5 days a week. How can you just put your nose to the grindstone if you got sand in your feet at all times?
Look, they're not going to be chilling on that beach. We're going to be running sprints.
What is a beach? Just no maps in the house. They don't even see it till 18.
With weighted vests. I think they call that rucking. But
you think? That seems like a very specific guest to know that.
Okay, they call it rucking. Well, speaking of going off the rails, we'll start here, Burns. How about the transfer portal? The college football transfer portal. I saw Brendan Sorsby signed for $5 million over at Texas Tech not too long ago. So where do you want to start here with the transfer portal?
Yeah, less specific, just more of the macro look at it. I'll be planning a transfer show after the season ends. A couple co-hosts a little more familiar to the recruiting cycle, or a couple of guests, I should say. And we're over 4,000 players in the transfer portal. It's completely unhinged. It's exhausting. I follow an account called Transfer Portal, and I get X notifications, Twitter notifications on my watch, and the thing is going off 24/7. I mean, they don't send out tweets about some non-starter from like Duquesne. Yeah, East Carolina, Duquesne, some FCS. But they are sending out tweets about guys that didn't get snaps but are on transferring from Florida or Clemson, but obviously had some big recruiting touts. So it's really just maybe catch a few big names here and there, but you really just have to let all the dust settle and then go back and look at your team and your rivals and see who got what.
Yeah, exactly. If there's 4,000 people in the transfer portal, I mean, you can't keep up with it all. And it's just craziness to me, especially. What I would be curious to know is we all hear about Brendan Sorsby and the top college players, the best of the best, getting paid millions of dollars. But what about college student number 3,600 in the transfer portal? Let's say if we have 4,000 in there, and let's say they weren't a starter at Florida and they're transferring to Charlotte, where they're going to be where they're going to have a chance to be the number one wide receiver at Charlotte. Man, I don't mean to make this about money, but how much are they getting paid? I mean, at least six figures, right?
Well, I mean, a slight look into that is a Barstool new hire, Mike Kadick, former center at Indiana, was very open with what he received. And a couple weeks ago, he said he made $300,000. That's starting center for, top 4 program. So less flashy, but clearly I was making, I'd take home between $90 to $160 a night waiting tables. And I was picking up tabs at bars. I thought I was rolling in it.
Yeah.
So $300K, I don't even think I could spend that much money in college.
Nah, man. And if you're the starting center at Indiana University, you're putting that shit into fucking Bitcoin in a Fidelity investment account. I don't think he's going out buying Lambos and jewelry.
Oh, he was not, but he was spending it very freakishly. I mean, he was picking up tabs, spending it on booze, and he was spending it irresponsibly.
All right.
His words.
I guess I forget sometimes that I'm 32 years old. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, man. I mean, when I talk about this stuff, I really feel like I'm old man at clouds. I don't mean to sound so sour about the whole topic, but it just grosses me out, the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a pretty standard fix going around that people seem to think they're in agreement on. One transfer undergrad, one post grad transfer, and then any transfers for university punishments or coaches leaving. Those are unlimited transfers. So if you somehow followed a coach and left, every time someone got fired, you could technically transfer every year without having to wait. But their holdup was like they have to wait 1 year if they want to transfer. It's like, I think this is all going to settle out once we get like the COVID year out of the way.
Yeah.
This is the last year of the COVID year class. So we're going to get back to just straight up red shirts and medical red shirts. So listen, I mean, technically if you're a student and you want to transfer every year to get to your dream school, I mean, you could do that. It's just, I think the biggest souring part of this experience is that we've got no parameters on what anyone's getting paid or like how they're getting paid or why they're getting paid that much. And I just I want to see some brackets on a base pay for all these guys and then freedom to go make money off their name, image, and likeness.
Mm-hmm.
Quit the bidding war and let's get these guys to programs and coaches that they want to play with, and they can make their money hustling their name and brand the best they see fit.
So we're going into the 2026 season after the playoffs wrap up. How long do you think it's going to take to implement something when it comes to transfer rules?
I mean, there's like no commissioner. So there's like nothing stopping anyone. Individual conference commissioning, and maybe the NCAA. I mean, it's basically like pro sports, right? Hardly let's quit pretending this is an amateur status thing for football, that is. I think it's still very college like in basketball. There are guys transferring every year, but way less money is being thrown around because the money to be made is in football. And there's obviously significantly lesser teams as well. So I don't know what it's going to take. It's going to take a collective effort from guys that only see dollar signs and don't see the best of every player and the best of every fan. And that's going to take some guys with a lot of integrity to step up and take leadership. And just about every commissioner out there, minus our gal in the Pac-12, doesn't really jump out for winning any integrity awards.
So a guy like Sorsby making $5 million this year, do you think we're going to get to a point where this shit reverts and the top guy is making, let's say, like only $1 million? Like, do you think that this is like a bubble and it's going to burst?
It has to. They're already seeing a lot of booster fatigue. I mean, you have 136 schools, one champion. And what are the boosters getting? Unless there's like something written in the contracts that hasn't come out yet, where there's like some sort of kickback to, NIL branding. Unless they're getting something from their donation out of the specific player. I don't know.
I've never thought that. I've always thought the boosters are just people who have unlimited money and they need to spend it somewhere, and they might as well support their favorite team. That's how I've always kind of interpreted that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
it is nuts. It is. We could talk about it for 3 hours because it's so crazy and just man, a lot to untangle there. But moving on, I know you made a bullet point here about Kurt Cignetti, head coach of Indiana Hoosiers. Has he found the magical answer to success from what we've been talking about for years? Please elaborate.
Yeah, we've talked about it quite a bit, and what the transfer portal has brought in. And, we saw it specifically last year with Ohio State, them particularly protecting what this magical formula is. But are you ready for the formula? Do you have the drum roll?
Give me the formula.
Grown men.
Mm-hmm.
A team of grown men versus just a flashy athlete out of high school is going to benefit from experience and size. I mean, you don't want to talk about these guys' bodies too long here, pause. But we still got young men developing into full grown men.
100%.
And 17 to 18 up to 22, 23 is a massive difference when it comes to size, speed, and strength.
Yeah, not for everyone who's not a 5-star freak athlete, absolutely.
And you're rated so high because of your intangibles, or actually just more on your physical specimen, not as much as your mental capacity. And that's
Correct.
what's found out on the field. Indiana's average starting player position, 22 and a half years old.
It's an old average.
That is a group of senior citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And last year with Ohio State, you see them run through these teams in the playoffs. Look at all of that. You had no players leaving early, essentially. Everyone was getting kicked out of school for age. Sorry, eligibility ran out. So the secret's in the sauce, and he's doing it right now in the transfer portal, bringing in upperclassmen like Josh Hoover, Nick Marsh. Interesting gets for gearing up for next season. But yeah, I mean, this is really the key. And I will say that the caveat is the athlete positions are where you can avoid this, but every other position is up for grabs. And I think, we'll talk about it, but we saw it this year where he's really winning is so far, he's 50%. I don't know. I wouldn't call Curtis Rourke a complete bust. He is injured. He did really well. I mean, a 11-2 season, right? 10-2 season. 11-2. They had one regular season loss. Anyway, the quarterback position. I mean, you see Sayin as his first true year of playing college football against a bunch of other grown men. And he has the growing pains that you're expected to have jumping up to this level. Cignetti's jumping that, rolling the dice, getting players from lesser programs, see if he can wrap his offense around that player that has the experience. And so far, proof is in the pudding that it is working out. And I don't see why we're not just parking all of our offensive line, defensive line, linebackers on a freshman team and just putting them in a training facility.
Yeah, the college football G League. As long as we pay them, they're good to go.
Like football, keep these boys healthy. Just keep them in the weight room.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think you make an outstanding point that hasn't been talked about probably enough in the national media with Indiana. And the thing is if you have older guys, no surprise here, but they're probably going to be a little bit more mature, a little bit more coachable. just all the things that you're looking for if you're trying to compete for championships. And it makes this week's matchup that we'll talk about in a bit between Indiana and Oregon quite interesting, because obviously Indiana's got the older team and Oregon's got a team of a bunch of talented freshmen. So interesting contrasting styles as far as like roster makeup goes. So yeah.
And I'm just curious to see how teams put together multiple championship seasons.
Yeah.
Sayin was on the bench last year, getting valuable experience behind Will Howard. But you see a guy like Will Howard who comes in, obviously us covering the sport a little bit more in depth than your average Joe. Big fans of Will his entire career. Got brought up a lot on our podcast, and I thought he was the best fit for Ohio State. Remember they were chasing Cam Ward, and that's where you win in the transfer portal, not just age, but getting those right fits where you just throw the fucking rating stars. I mean, you know how much I dislike the high school ranking system, because it just doesn't compute to me the thousands of high schools across America. You're able to get this perfect rating system, which no one claims it's perfect, but it's just way more wrong than it is right.
100%. There's just a lot that you don't know until you have someone in your building at your school, and that's just how it is. But yeah, dude, Cignetti, incredible job, and we'll talk about these upcoming playoff games here in just a second. But before we do, we'll talk about bowl week betting recap and best moments. Xander, bowl season, total record 21, 20, and 1. How do you feel about that?
Not great. I got mollywopped last week. Just everything that could go wrong went wrong. But overall, good season. A lot of interesting games. Got thrashed on best bets. Indiana really saved my ass there. 4-unit play. Glad you kind of steered the ship around and heeded my advice from what we talked about on the show versus that Alabama trash heap. But when I look back at this bowl season, there was a lot of competitors, a lot of games that were entertaining, surprising. Especially this last week of the season, the Iowa Vanderbilt game, back and forth.
Yeah.
A lot of big programs showed up to play with these players.
Illinois, Tennessee was another good one.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Goes to the buzzer here in Nashville. USC TCU, incredible game, overtime. LSU Houston, completely just shocked by an offensive explosion. And and then you see games like, let's see,
Texas Michigan was another pretty fun game.
Texas Michigan, which is Bryce Underwood really that guy?
I don't know. You tell
me. He'll need the offseason. Let's just say that. He needs a break. Yeah. And then just kicking us off with like teams that weren't expected to be in there, like Missouri State, Arkansas State goes down to the buzzer. We have some really, really good games. Toledo, Louisville. Everyone at Toledo leaves. Louisville starts all their starters. That's a personal win game for me. Line moves from 6 to about 12 overnight. And it's games like that when the G5 get matched up with the P4 and the G5 competes to the end is really really what it means in bowl season. And then even our Christmas Eve, who can forget our Christmas Eve over? The
Amazing.
best gift we can have under the tree any year going forward as our 30s rocket through the vast blankness of space.
Another G5 versus P4 matchup.
Exactly. And Cal jumps out 21-0 lead. Get the mulled wine poured. Talk to your relatives. This game's over. Hold on, folks. The group chat is blowing up. So yeah, that was a really good one, and yeah, man, and just a lot of back doors. Who could forget the Pop Tarts Bowl, BYU, Georgia Tech? 8.7 million people tuned in. I mean, that's the new like New Year's Day bowl. They need to move that to New Year's Day. I know they want to keep the playoff games there, but like that's the game people are tuning in when the non-playoff games.
Yep, for sure. Man, it was a fun bowl season. I thought the games, for the most part, were pretty good. Enjoyed it a lot. And I know this wasn't a D1 bowl game, but that Illinois State Montana State game was a hell of a game.
FCS National Championship here in Nashville. Let
me guess. You didn't go.
No, man. Tickets got up there.
Did they?
As a casual viewer, yeah. I mean, I was not looking to just get in at the top row. A lot of Montana State travelers here for like the weekend beforehand, for sure. Yeah. They traveled pretty well.
That's cool.
You can expect they probably thought they'd be in this position. But fair amount of Redbirds down here. I mean, that's not too far of a drive. I want to say that's like 3.5 hours. 3 hours
really,
in Nashville.
Really good game. Really good game at Montana.
Kickers, State, man. Kickers.
Dude, I don't know. Was it kickers or is it field goal protection? I don't know.
That's fair. You just can't miss extra points. You gotta dig that 60-degree wedge in there and just float that thing over. Just kick it straight up in the air.
Yep.
I mean, college extra points are what? 16 yards, 17 yards?
Yeah, about.
Yeah.
You want to get into round 2, the college football playoff?
Yeah, but I have a question for you. Just a little something that came up. You didn't want to go over your bowl record?
I didn't even know my record was 2-2. I guess that's what you put down
last week.
Last week I went 2-2. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can talk, since you only bet on the playoff games, we could talk about that in the recap. But I've got a question for you, Alex.
Yeah.
'Tis the season. You know, the Christmas holiday is gone. New Year's has passed. Everyone is back to dragging ass into the everyday work week. Are you a resolutions believer? Or is it just another day chugging along?
Great question. If I had to pick one or the other, I would say that I'm more of a just another day, keep chugging along type of guy. But resolutions aren't bad. But resolutions should only be resolutions if you're going to stick to them, in my opinion. What's the point of making a resolution and then breaking them year over year over year? Like, if you're going to make a resolution, I feel like you need to stick to that shit. And I don't think I've ever wanted to put that type of pressure on myself, to be honest. So I guess that's my honest answer without thinking about it too much. Truly. How about you?
Yeah. I think they're complete asinine. It's a lazy person's excuse of claiming to better their lives, not to get too in depth, but I think it's hilarious that you'll just get into this mindset of starting Thanksgiving. You have 36 days, basically, give or take. It's like reverse Lent, to just be jolly, merry, fat, and happy. You know, for those that don't drink, you probably engorge on some food as much as you wouldn't during the year. And so that's enough time to build a negative habit. And you're just like, well, starting January 1, I'm going to get in this good habit from this bad habit I just built. So it really makes no sense. And like outside of work, when are you ever setting like a year-long goal every single year? It's like you gotta break it up into small goals, and all of that to say, as much as I don't do resolutions, I have a resolution this year.
All right.
I sent it in the group chat. I stumbled upon this resolution without without any preparation. Do you recall that?
No.
I need to go 10 for 10 from the free throw line.
That's
Haven't
right.
picked up a basketball in 8 years. You know, up at the local Y earlier this week, the gym is wide open. No open ball. None of these youths running out. I have no interest in getting a pickup game going. Is that where you're? Is that? Am I officially past Unk and in old head territory when I say when they ask if I want to run and I say no, I'm just putting up a couple.
No, I still think you're unk, but are you saying no, I'm just putting up a couple because you're just so gosh damn rusty that you don't want to make an ass out of yourself, or are you just over it?
No, I just know exactly what they want. You know, I already got my running, and this is to conclude my workout. It's the cool down phase. Like they're gonna have me running. They're gonna be calling for the ball behind the 3-point line all the time. I'm gonna maybe get 2 to 3 shots up, and then they're gonna stop passing me the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just know how it goes. Yeah, I was in that territory, not passing to Unk, but in my day, Unks got physical in the paint. They weren't camping out there
I'm gonna be
waiting.
honest. Yeah, waiting for the ball,
Yeah,
waiting for that one offensive rebound or whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. You're gonna hit your resolution by the end of January. Making 10 free throws in a row is not that hard if you put
But
enough shots up.
but I'm only putting up 10 a day.
Oh, so you gotta go perfect.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
Okay, that might be harder. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be October and you still haven't completed it.
I mean, this is the type of game that I have. I haven't picked up a ball. I go 3 for 10 from the line, and this is where this resolution is born. And I step back and I go 5 for 10 from three. The old boy still got it.
Michael Finley.
Dude, I just need to step back, dude. Too close. No, but I just love lifting off the ground. I'm not used to just being planted, so I really just need to fix the form, and I think I'll be there. The ball still rolls off the tips, like just nice backspin on the ball. Oh, like
Well,
riding a
good for you.
bike.
Well, good for you, man. Yeah, getting back into the gym and shooting shots is a very underrated hobby or habit. Shooting hoops, it's fun as fuck. It really is.
It truly is, and just like throwing it off the wall, just kind of catching it back to the basket, turning around, shooting it,
Mm-hmm.
ripping it off the side of the hoop. Nowhere close to making it, but no one was around watching, so you just kind of get it right back and then put it up. You know, those are the things you live for at this age, and there's no need for us to just die off in our 30s. We still have some ball years left in us.
All right, fire me up, coach.
Yeah. So off season, be keeping tabs on the show, but let it be known Michael Jordan, Vax, Xander Burns. I'm back.
All right, looking forward to the updates. I hope you complete it, but my money would say no.
Thank you.
Um, college football playoff round 2. We'll start with Miami and Ohio State. Miami 24, Ohio State 14. You watched the game. you're the big Ohio State fan. As someone who didn't really have a rooting interest in this game outside of Ohio State because I bet on them, Ohio State did the thing. They did the thing that you can't do. And I don't want to say the pick six ruined the game for them, but it put them in a pretty tough spot. But, man, let's hear your thoughts.
By far the worst win share probability index of any of the 4 games. Miami had a post-game win probability of 30%. So the other 3 games were in favor of the winning teams. Obviously, I mean, 2 G5 games, and then you have round 2. You have a complete blowout, and then you have a Ole Miss team that's competing the entire game, and then another complete blowout. That just really, really was ugly.
So let me ask. I need to ask you something right off the bat because you need to get into this game. Why couldn't Ohio State block Miami? I thought Ohio State's offensive line was worth something. Why couldn't they block them?
Missing the starting outside guard was not good, even though he had some spotty issues. Listen, I mean, it all comes down. Yeah, I really have a bad taste from this season from Brian Hartline, but you know, like we said, you know, Oregon's dealing with the same type of stuff. Maybe they have a little bit of a different path. You know, would Ohio State still be alive playing James Madison and Texas Tech? I think a lot of people would bet yes.
Sure.
I think there's, you know, one scenario that you can also say Ohio State possibly could have had to play the 2 best teams in the country, the Indiana and Miami. I think those are the 3. You know, we look back to week 6. You know, this podcast was talking about Ohio State, Miami on a collision course for the national championship. That's how good we thought Miami looked. So if you want to, do you want to look at Miami more for their 2 hiccup losses, or do we want to look at them as a whole? And, you know, this is a good football team with a really strong defensive line. And, you know, the reason I harp on Hartline is just, you know, Day, he rolled the dice on the season. We talked about it all season. We pointed it out. You know, they ran a very methodical, slow offense, and they're able to in the schedule they were presented. And outside of Penn State, and then, of course, the Big Ten Championship, when I talk about regular season, there was not a defensive line that could challenge this Ohio State offensive line. So where is, you know, even with Texas, you know, that's Sayan's first game. So is it the defensive pressure, or is it truly stepping onto the main stage? So Sayan never gets an opportunity to face that pressure. The offense never gets the opportunity, as a play caller's perspective, to input the plays into the system to create more space, to avoid the rush, to avoid a weakness in your team. And, you know, I just don't think they took this threat serious enough to input enough plays into the playbook to give Sayan a few extra moments in time. We covered that in the pregame. We said, do you want to just go 3 wide receivers and just don't even have the tight ends and running backs run routes and just pick up extra blocks? And, you know, a few plays that worked out, and but mostly it didn't. And you look back at a couple plays that have been really, really flashed on Twitter. You know, Carnell Tate running wide open down the field would have been a 95-yard touchdown. Sayan checks it down. And then Claire over the middle, and Sayan just takes a sack, steps up, doesn't rip it, you know, even though the safety bailed out in his spot. And then that pick 6, that's just the worst play I've ever seen in my life. Truly, whoever designed that play, just never take accountability for it. burn it, never run it again. You have a motioning tight end that were they supposed to go outside of the pass? And then what? Like pick up a block when the wide receiver's coming in? So maybe the tight end didn't run the play right to jump in. And then you have the best wide receiver in the last decade set as a blocking wide receiver. You just can't have that. And that's what led to the pick six. I mean, that was the most telegraphed pick six you may ever see in your life. That's a video game style pick six. So I think Ohio State didn't execute. Sayin got a baptism. You thought the Big Ten championship, you want to blame it on fielding. That's fine. Sayin didn't play the greatest there, but neither did Mendoza. I just think overall, this is probably better for the program. And, Ohio State is very good at retention. And the players that they're losing to the transfer portal are guys that weren't going to get playing time, highly recruited. Some you're going to see a lot going to USF, follow Heartline. It's just the way it works at Ohio State. The new incoming class just reloads. So from that perspective, they didn't show up and execute to where they needed, and they didn't give their young quarterback. So really it just relies on Heartline and Day. They didn't give their young quarterback. Because you look at the defense, both defenses showed up. Malachi Toney, 5 receptions, 16 yards. You'll take that every day of the week. He had
and a fumble that he recovered.
The craziest fumble. I mean, you were thinking that these guys had magnets in their gloves. The way 2 fumbles just bounced right back up in their arms. It was just one of those days, the way it works out. That's so unusual to see. And then whatever it was worth, any pressure drawn up was too telegraphed. Patricia just was resting on 4-man rush, no blitzing for a majority of the game. And by the time they would get a couple blitzes in here or there, it was very, very predictive of what they were going to do. I just don't think that they needed to rough up Beck early on, and they needed to get him on the ground early in the first quarter. And once again, he did just enough. He had like 130 yards. Nothing impressive out of Beck. It was just the poise was the most impressive part. But overall, he's still not an impressive quarterback to me.
Yeah, Miami has not been that great on offense, but I don't know, man. I thought Sayin handled the collapsing pockets pretty poorly at first, and then I thought he made an adjustment and started getting the ball out of his hands quicker, which led to more completions. But even on those plays, I felt like he was still under duress. And the other thing I'd want to add about Sayin, and I don't know if you can improve on this skill set or how much you can, but he's not Trinidad Chambliss back there. He's not really like avoiding guys or making guys miss in the pocket, at least from my eyes. Seems like he kind of struggled with that aspect. So,
and that's been a hint or a knock on Ryan Day developing quarterbacks. After the game, I tweeted out, worried in a college sense that Sayin is Stroud 2.0. Just an elite talent, a surefire NFL quarterback, but is trapped in the pocket and is not being trained to escape with his legs, which he showed at times during the regular season he could. But it's like Day. I mean, you look at Fields in the NFL, could be a legit NFL running back, was always kept in the pocket in college. And so there's just there's something with Day that won't let his quarterbacks get out and extend plays. He prefers everything being focused in that pocket. That concerns me on a development level, especially in college when a mobile quarterback can truly, and we might see it with Trinidad Chambliss, could win your team a national championship.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is I I would have to go back and rewatch the game to get like a better sense of this, but maybe off the top of your head. Ohio State didn't run the ball all that much in this game. They only had 18 total carries between Bo Jackson and CJ Donaldson. I'm assuming some of that was because they couldn't stay on the field. Some of it was because they were trailing. But this run game, I mean, shit. Last year, this is a team that had Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, for gosh sake. I mean, this running game did not look threatening at all against Miami.
Yeah, it was big time first half issue. They opened it up in the second half. I will say that, but for the first half, yeah, I think they had -6 rushing yards. Although in college, sacks count as rush yards, so that's a little skewed. Both averaged over 4 yards a carry. For what it's worth, that first drive out of the half, Bo Jackson really started to eat. So I agree, and that's where it comes to scheming. I mean, they just did not. They were a little too arrogant in their own talent and did not. They didn't consider Miami's stud defensive linemen, just two of them, because one of their other starters got knocked out early. They just didn't consider them a game-wrecking threat to win the game on their own. And that's what lost the game for Ohio State.
I agree with that overall. They could have done more to help Sayin and just the offense as a whole. So it sounds like you put it on coaching.
Oh, big time play calling. Like, just think of a couple of the plays from last playoff season. The first touchdown, Jeremiah Smith on a bubble screen out of the backfield, Oregon. First touchdown against Notre Dame national championship, a Will Howard rollout, and then a Jeremiah Smith like pivot or just a fake cross, and just pops right open in the backfield and walks into the end zone. There really weren't anything like that. I don't know if it's Kelly, because obviously I have my qualms with him. So first title at any level, and guys like in his 60s, let's calm down on him being like the messiah of football. So yeah, it's exhausting carrying that much pressure, being back-to-back champions, number one. And what we'll see, though, Mayor, do you believe in it? Because I think Ohio State guaranteed us a 16-team playoff through 2 seasons, 1-7 by team, straight up.
Wild. Does it hurt any less knowing that you won the Natty last year?
Not really. Every loss stings when it's the ending loss of the season, especially when it means something. It's not just some bowl that you could kind of just reflect on the season in a more productive way. I think it stings because I really think Ole Miss beats Miami, and just the path and the potential rematch versus Indiana is what really stings. And interesting to see what the Buckeyes do in the portal this year, and who they go get for an offensive coordinator, because Ryan Day can never call plays again. He's a lot of lunatic fringe talking about Day. I really like Day as a head coach. I really think he's a guy you want steering the ship, but I tweeted this out right after the game. The captain of the ship can't also be shoveling coal into the engine. That's just not how it works. He's got to be focused of running this program and just keeping everyone on a level head. Need to go get someone that calls plays and is creative with it in today's age, especially if Sayin is not going to be mobile.
Sure. All right. We'll move on. Oregon, Texas Tech. We saw Oregon win 23-0. This one was in Miami. My main takeaways in this game was both defenses were fantastic. Texas Tech's offense, as well as Oregon's offense, honestly, were pretty unimpressive. I definitely felt like Oregon had more opportunities, and they kept getting stopped on like fourth downs, whether that meant them going for it and not converting or just kicking field goals. But yeah, this game was just kind of ugly to watch, quite frankly. But Oregon eventually was able to get a few more points on the board to pull away. But very impressive performance by Oregon's defense specifically, and they're moving on.
Yeah. You got to feel just brutal for the Texas Tech defense. I mean, they did everything you could ask of them.
They did.
I mean, just 11 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, a turnover, and then your offense goes out and turns the ball over 4 times. And it's just got to be gut-wrenching, picking up your helmet after just holding these guys to 3, getting turnovers in the red zone. Like, it was an ultimate bend, don't break performance. And I think we can look at that as like a welcome to the show type game for a new kid on the block. Kind of saw it with Arizona State last year, except kind of the opposite. They just couldn't get off the field. Had all the offense, so they know what they need to go get. See, they should be able to get back here next year. But yeah, disappointing.
Yep. So Oregon advances, and then we had Bama taking on Indiana in the Rose Bowl, 38-3. An absolute ass whooping in this game. The Hoosiers really just laid it on Alabama. Whew. Dominating performance on the line of scrimmages. Mendoza with some big-time throws. Their receivers with some big-time catches. The defense with a huge 4th down stop early in the game to kind of set the tone and give Indiana that confidence and launching pad that they needed. And they just kicked the shit out of Alabama.
Yeah, they really did. And only 1 turnover the entire game. This was, yeah, man. This is eye-opening. This was my biggest play of the year. This is my biggest play of the week. Obviously, I called an ass whooping. I didn't think it would look like that. I don't see who stops this Indiana team. We'll talk about the breakdowns, but they looked ready to go, legit locked in, and how psyched those boys were after the starters got pulled. Like, this whole team is scary locked in together.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way. Alabama, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I saw Ty Simpson is entering the NFL draft, so he will not be back, but they're Alabama. They should be able to find talent, but they couldn't run the ball lick this year, and that is very strange for an Alabama coach team. So I don't know if that's a DeBoer thing. I don't know if that's kind of like a one-off type thing, but they're going to need to run the ball at least to like average success, because when I say that Bama couldn't run the ball this year, I really mean it. They could not run the ball. So very weird stuff.
Yep. 4 loss season.
Exactly. And then we finally got a good game. Ole Miss, Georgia, 39-34. Ole Miss pulls off the upset. We're so used to seeing Georgia have dominant defenses, and we've been talking about this all year about just how Georgia, and they're not the only team, but how Georgia isn't as good as they used to be, like a few years back when you could hardly score 10 points on this defense. Not the case. Trinidad Chambliss looked like, I don't know, the right-handed Michael Vick out there. I mean, he looked incredible. And Ole Miss got the job done. And just a fun story if you didn't have a rooting interest and just enjoy football. It was just a very fun game to watch. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I big on the over last game. Just riding the high of the Indiana win. And this team has really showed me something as someone that has Had Tulane beating this team. As serious as that was.
Yeah.
Trinidad Chambliss is the real deal. And it could be like one of those, like, look back, college. It's such a unique name that he could put the team on his back for one 4-game stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's that big of a game changer. And you're telling me now, like, that Miami secondary that, to be honest, was torched every possibility. I'm not saying Ole Miss has Jeremiah Smith there, but there are so many open receivers missed that now a quarterback that can get out of the pocket, create his own time. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure, and just props to Ole Miss for sticking through it and getting their lick back.
Yeah, 100%. And then on the flip side of that, you got Kirby Smart, one of the best college coaches of all time, and he goes down in the same venue that they went down last year to Notre Dame. Just quickly, why do you think Georgia lost this game?
I just think it was the same thing. Like, the fourth quarter just got dominated by Ole Miss. It was the exact, like, Jekyll and Hyde from the first matchup, where Ole Miss, looked like they were going to be able to win on the road, and Georgia comes out, shuts everything down in the fourth quarter. Just the undescribable momentum that Ole Miss just played with through the fourth. You just had this feeling they were going to keep getting the ball back until they had more points than Georgia. I don't know how else to explain it. It just felt like everything was bouncing their way because of the way they were playing, and it's going to be a fun game in the Fiesta Bowl because, their defense, I would say, is the worst unit of the 8 units in the Final Four teams for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Lucas Carneiro, Ole Miss's kicker. That dude is
man,
freaking ice.
Ohio State might give him $5.5 million for fuck's sake.
Right. And I know he had a fumble in this game, but Kewan Lacey, he looks like an NFL running back. That dude is really good. He's really good. He actually reminds me of Josh Jacobs when I watch him run, just like very physical, tough.
SEC leading running back. Just very quietly, a name that your average Joe wouldn't know, but you're absolutely right. Just a stud.
Mm-hmm. So that was round 2 of the college football playoff. And are you ready to break down these semifinal matchups?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
All right, perfect. So with that said, we're going to start with the Fiesta Bowl. That's right. Miami taking on Ole Miss in Tempe, Arizona. The point spread in this game is 3.5. Miami is favorited. The over-under is 52. 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Why don't you kick things off for us? Sounds like we can talk about why we think both teams can win this game. So I'll ask you, why do you think Ole Miss can win this game?
I think Ole Miss can win this game because they have the best athlete at quarterback remaining in the Final Four. I think they also have the best offense remaining in the Final Four. I would happily stake my flag in that. I know who's on the other side in the other game as well. Problem is, I think they have the worst defense out of the 4. So, but I think Miami has the worst offense. So this is a classic, just worst versus the worst, best versus the best. Although I could say Indiana might have the best defense remaining. Miami has a best unit, but Ole Miss is going to win by. Listen, they need to have. They need to space out their. They need to have control of the ball, and you just called them out. Just a few minutes ago. Kewan Lacey is going to need to just eat this game. Take a little off Trinidad Chambliss. The thing is, they can't just be in this speed mode and let Miami get comfortable, because Miami's comfortable with running the ball right now. Like, as it's shown the last 2 games, Beck has combined for 220 yards. Like, they are okay with eating up clock, eating up drives, just really pounding it with Fletcher. And Ole Miss cannot just run into where Ohio State kind of did the same, but didn't let the score get away from them. But because their defense is so stout, they were able to. But Ohio State comes out, first 3 out of 4 drives is 3 and out. That cannot happen for Ole Miss. So they win by balancing their offense, not just relying on Chambliss, and getting above 28.
100%. As far as Miami's pathway to victory, I think Miami can win this game if we see the combination of Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain Jr. continue to disrupt these offensive lines that they're going up against. Miami's pass rush has been insane, and they're going to have to find a way to either contain Chambliss or take him down. But I also think it's important for Miami to be able to stop the run, as you just talked about. You don't want Ole Miss, if you're an Ole Miss fan, in these constant drop back passing situations without the threat of a run game. The thing why I see Miami possibly having success here throughout the season, they were the 4th ranked run defense in all of college football in terms of yards allowed per game at 83.4. Only behind Indiana, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech. Pretty good defenses. Now, if you want to play devil's advocate, Georgia is actually number 5 in run defense rankings, and Ole Miss did a decent job against them. But take that for what it's worth. And you just said it on the offensive side of the ball. Mark Fletcher, he looks good. Seems like he pops a few, decent to big time runs here in these playoffs so far. Obviously, you have Malachi Toney and you have CJ Daniels as receiving options for Carson Beck, who has not played sexy, but he has played efficient enough, especially when it comes to like third downs or fourth downs when they need a conversion. Seems like he's made the right play more often than not. So Miami, play a clean game. Don't turn the ball over. Let defense dominate the day. Stop the run. And there's a pathway to victory for them, as we can see. They're favorites in this game.
Yep, big time. They do have a common opponent. Miami throttled Florida, and Ole Miss beats Florida by 10, a little closer than they'd like. So when we look at those particular games, obviously that Florida game was much earlier in the season for Miami. And, outside of, yeah.
I should note, though, that Florida game, Miami pulled away at the end. That game was somewhat close for 3/4 of the game.
Yeah. Only scoring 7, though, is like, yeah. Anyway. Listen, I mean, Ole Miss can survive on defense more than people want to give them credit for. They're not going to be getting pressure unless they're going to dial up blitz packages. But, if they're able to hold this Miami run game in check, they are pretty good at maintaining passive explosiveness and overall explosiveness as a whole and a total pass EPA per play. They're top 85, 90% in both of those categories. So the secondary can compete against a quarterback that we think is, the last quarterback in this Final Four ranking here. The only thing is just this is the game where the defensive line has to just stand guard. I mean, they're not going to shut them down by any means. I don't think this is going to be a track meet, but there's going to need to be some kind of standing up and digging deep from maybe what you haven't seen on a couple plays, not necessarily the whole game, just for the other path on how Ole Miss wins.
Yep. Ole Miss has got a bunch of weapons from an offensive standpoint, and I really like the fact that Ole Miss's head coach, Pete Golding, is a defensive-minded type of guy. I think that'll serve him well in this playoff game, and especially if they're able to get to the national championship, because offense is not really something that they, in my opinion, honestly, have to be super concerned about. For as good as Miami's pass rush is, maybe Ole Miss learns a lesson. They watch the film in that Ohio State game and say, okay, Ohio State maybe didn't adjust as well as they should have. Let's make sure that we're prepared going into this game. But anything else you want to add in this one?
Yeah, just a final score prediction here. I do think Ole Miss shocks the world, and I think that they win a close game. I think that they win 31-28. I think it's a three-point game. I think Miami's going to get in a few times. And something that's unexplainable in the stat sheet shows up to me for Trinidad Chambliss. And that's why I think they're playing for a national title in a week and a half.
Yep. For the Fiesta Bowl, hopefully this isn't a meme. I'm also going to go with Ole Miss in this game, 27-24. I think they have something special cooking with Chambliss and the whole coaching departure with Lane Kiffin. And I think these guys come together and get the job done. Ole Miss moving on to the championship game. Be sure to like and subscribe here and check out our coverage of the Peach Bowl as well. As we move on to the Peach Bowl, it's Indiana, it's Oregon. Indiana favorited by 3.5 points, over under 47.5. Atlanta, Georgia, 6:30 p.m. Central on Friday. And we're going to talk about why Indiana and Oregon can win this game. Xander, why don't you tell us why Indiana can win this game?
Well, they're by far the best team in the country. They've already beaten, and they handled Oregon pretty stoutly, pretty soundly in their house. They ran in their house, and they took their shit. Earlier in the season, Indiana has only gotten better since that game, which is scary. What we saw in that Rose Bowl was eye-opening. I didn't know Indiana had that in them. You know, we look at this Indiana team, they are just clicking on all cylinders when it comes to any sort of defensive aspects. In the last 3 games, in the last 4 games, dating back to the regular season, 3-10, 3-7. 24-10, 6, 13. This defense is not getting enough credit where it's due. Now, daily out does hurt. You're going to get a team that is more sound in the run game by far than Alabama. So the only benefit is that you've already faced this team to not be completely caught off guard in that aspect. That's what would concern me if this was not a rematch, because you don't want any confidence turning into arrogance here when we still have 8 quarters left before anyone lifts a trophy.
Sure.
So, it only takes 1 game. So I don't see this being, let's just kind of break down into the stats of last game. So on the road, 4 sacks generated by Indiana, 6 tackles for a loss. They turned Oregon over twice, won the turnover differential. They were able to hold Oregon to 270 yards of offense, which I think is extremely impressive. And when we look at this the, what do you want to call it, strengths of Indiana. It's keeping you behind the chains and early down plays on defense. And then it's also being able to get ahead of the chains on the ground and beat you physically throughout the game. They have the capabilities to turn it up. But as we saw with games like Iowa and Penn State, more physical teams, and Ohio State, they can sit there and go blow for blow with you. I think we just kind of did a little foreshadowing ahead of all these segments. Old man versus young man. I think there's just too much old man strength. I'm laying the points with Indiana. I think they end up stretching it late to a 10-point win.
Absolutely. Why can Oregon win this game? Why will Oregon win this game? Well, we'll start with the signal caller, Dante Moore, 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns, a QBR of 79 on the season, which is 13th in the nation. So although Moore might not be as spectacular as maybe a Mendoza for Indiana, he's still a damn good quarterback. This Oregon rushing attack, just on the season as a whole, this is a team that ran for almost 3,000 yards as a team at 5.5 yards per carry. So this is a squad that wants to be physical and wants to run the ball. Now, you look at a game like last week when they played Texas Tech, and you'll see some alarming numbers when you look at the statistics. I mean, your eyes also told you the story, but this Oregon running game could not get going at all. Their two best running backs, Jordan Davison and Noah Whittington, held to 2.8 and 2.4 yards per carry, respectively. So Texas Tech completely shut them down. I think that's good news for an Oregon fan if you're looking from the optimistic view, because Dan Lanning, very good motivator, very good teacher. I think Texas Tech was the perfect opponent for Oregon to go up against to prepare them as best as possible when they're playing Indiana on Friday night, because just like Texas Tech, Indiana has a very disruptive defensive line. They rank third in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game. Texas Tech actually ranks first in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game. So hopefully they have some lessons that they can learn. I mean, football at the end of the day, it's a very physical sport. Sometimes there's only so much that you can do, but you would think that Oregon is going to take some lessons that they learned from their last game and apply them moving forward. And we'll see if the loss of Daly for Indiana, one of their best defensive linemen, maybe shows up in this game. So we'll see. Now, from an Oregon defensive standpoint, obviously they have very good players all over the field. I mean, that was highlighted in last week's playoff game by that stud freshman corner who looks like a big NFL corner at this point, Brandon Finney Jr., 2 interceptions. And Oregon's defense as a whole, they got some guys that can get after the passer. Tudioli, Ugalele, 9.5 sacks and 6 sacks, respectively, on the season. Indiana, for as good as they've been, when they've played some teams that have had some more physical defenses and maybe just some better defenses as a whole, like an Ohio State, for example, or an Iowa or a Penn State, they've certainly taken their lumps. They haven't been perfect. So Oregon, in order to win this game, figure it out running the ball. Dante Moore continue to play efficiently. And defensively, if you're Oregon, you got to bring that physicality. In fact, you got to bring the physicality as a team, as a whole. But you're going to have to win the turnover battle, and you're going to have to play very good situational football. So I know that was a little long-winded, but I think that's the path for Oregon to pull off the upset in this one.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, there wouldn't be a good team. Like if they wouldn't be here if they weren't a good team. There you go. Spit it out. Yeah, I mean, it's semifinals. almost they can taste it. But I got to be honest, this really feels. Oh wow, geez, I get these graphics and just been talking over the Miami. Anyway, um, yeah, I mean, listen, to me, it feels like we're going to be talking about this Indiana team still. Like no one's willing until it actually is done, but they have a potential to go 16-0, undefeated national champions, as 2 years out of being the worst program of all time in college football statistically. Uh, when I watch this team line up and play the other team, there's something kind of like Trinidad Chambliss, man. There's something that they have that others don't. And it feels like the Ohio State run last year that we'll be looking back at every spread and like, oh, how could we get Indiana at 3.5? I think the final is 24-13. Indiana, that total seems high, 47. I was going to say we like the fast turf ideology, but as we saw in the Big Ten championship, 13-10 final in the dome, that Indiana can play indoors and not get in a track meet.
Absolutely. I echo your thoughts on Indiana. And from an Oregon perspective, if I wanted to back this team, I would have liked to see a little bit more from their offensive line and their rushing attack. And quite frankly, Dante Moore in the passing game than I did see against Texas Tech. And I know Tech has a great defense, and I know it's just one game, and I know they still won the game. But Indiana is going to give them just as much of a challenge as Tech will. And I think at the end of the day, I'm just looking at the physicality of these teams. They've already played once. Indiana won that matchup, and I think Indiana is going to do it again. I do expect it to be a slugfest, very physical, pretty good game. But I'm going to go with Indiana 27, Oregon 13.
What a copycat, man. What a copycat. This is troubling. So the Oregon Miami parlay is a lock of the century.
Yeah. Yeah, you can put us on a poster and put the clown noses on us. So be sure to like and subscribe here and go back and check out our coverage of the Fiesta Bowl.
Hell yeah. Hell yes.
I can't wait for these games. It was really nice to get a good one in Georgia and Ole Miss. And I think both of these games could potentially be very good. But I think Thursday night's game, Miami and Ole Miss specifically, I think that one could be like, I could see that one like coming down to like the absolute wire.
Instant classic, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two good kickers as well. You talked about Ole Misses, but Miami also has a kicker there that can drill a couple. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. A little weird Thursday, Friday. I know the NFL is king, kind of took over there for the weekend. I don't know. Start one at 5:00 Eastern time. People on Friday. People can one day out of the year, if you're that's right at happy hour on Friday. People are cutting out at 4 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only hang up on some of the scheduling. But that would be that they could start the Ole Miss because that's in Atlanta, and then have the Indiana game. But final thoughts, I think, dude, we have a preseason. The best odds are Oregon 10-1. We have Ole Miss 35-1, Miami 50-1, Indiana 200-1. Those were the best odds, highest odds.
How did we overlook it? How did we just miss it right in front of our faces?
Yeah, not having just a $5 bet to win 1,000 on Indiana after we just saw Cignetti take, Curtis Rourke to the playoff the year before and reload everywhere. Indiana, I think, was our second highest wide receiving ranking in the Big Ten. So Yeah, it's a big time hand up. But I think what we didn't talk about positive transfer portal, as we've seen the last couple of years, there's going to be room for a lot of long shot national championship grabs because maybe Vegas will catch up and extend a different point of view. But these odds have been out there and pretty crazy.
1,000%, dude. I mean,
Arizona State last year getting a bye. Those odds astronomical. We're talking 500 to 1.
right.
So exciting. And 3 of these teams have never won a national championship.
Yeah. Who's the team that has? Oregon?
Miami, dude. Come on.
Oh yeah, I was sleeping at the wheel, obviously.
Once upon a time, these boys were all about it.
Man, that's crazy when you think about Oregon because this is a team that's been like very good in college football for 15 years.
Yeah. I agree. Who knows what, already wild that it could, besides Indiana, it's just wild it could come down. It could be Oregon versus Ole Miss. And who could have ever predicted that outside of some, not even homers, because how do you predict the other side like that?
Yeah. In Miami, it's not like they were this, I don't know. They missed the playoffs last year and they just got relevant very recently, once again, after 20 years of hibernation. So,
yeah, exactly.
Final thoughts?
Let's give the folks what they want. Some surprise NFL predictions here. It's NFL playoffs starts this week. The bracket is released. It's finished. Alex continues to call me the college boy and stick to my lane. So this is his speed. I have my predictions, but he's definitely more of the NFL man. He just won our NFL pick'em, and for a season-long pick'em. So let's start with you, King. Who do you have facing off in the Super Bowl and then winning the Super Bowl?
Okay. I got the battle of the California teams. Give me the Rams and the Chargers squaring off in the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
And I'll take the Rams to win.
LA. La La Land, huh?
Wouldn't that be crazy if the Chargers is the 7th seed out of the AFC were able to do it? But I'm irrationally confident in them, and that will probably be clipped if they lose to the Patriots. You're like, yes, you were, sir. But
and you've already been reminded that in the history of the Super Bowl, there has never been a wild card versus wild card Super Bowl matchup.
Yep. Precisely.
That's interesting.
It's gonna change. You add an extra playoff team and you take away a bye. So we know it's gonna change soon.
Yeah, but there's still more divisional winners than there are wild cards.
Oh, right. Loophole. Yeah, good point. Okay.
4-3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then then who are your, obviously Chargers are surprise team, a 7 seed making the Super Bowl. Do you have a surprise team that could do you think your Packers could make noise?
Yeah, I do. I don't say that from the standpoint of like, I'm extremely confident that they will, but to keep it short and sweet, I think they need to see one go through the hoop to get it rolling. Defensively, they kind of are who they are without Micah Parsons on the field. They still have some talented players, but by far that takes away the added dimension of what the pass rush could be. But they could definitely beat the Bears. And if they beat the Bears, that means they're playing the Seahawks. And yes, while the Seahawks have an excellent defense, please don't confuse this Seahawks defense with the Legion of Boom. Like, for as good as they are, they're not like some elite defense. I'm telling you right now, they're not. They're very good, but they're not like transcendent levels. And I've seen the Packer offense cook. They're capable. They're capable of putting 30 up on just about anybody. And Sam Darnold doesn't scare me. So, yes, they can, but they got to get the first one. Let's see if they can get that first one.
In your hometown Jaguars?
Dude, I feel pretty similarly about the Jags, even though the Jaguars are a better team than the Packers overall. The Jags need to get that first one against Buffalo, which is going to be very difficult. Just like it's a very difficult game for the Bills. Like, this is a very difficult game for both teams. And I really think the winner of this game has a very, very legit shot, to be possibly in the Super Bowl, but certainly like playing in the AFC title game. So we'll see. Bills is a really tough matchup, but the Jags are a very good team. So I'm hoping that they are able to get past them.
That's fair. For me, I think it's pretty simple. Like we were talking about it off air. NFL is an entertainment league to me. College is pure. They have cleared the path for Josh Allen to go get a Super Bowl. And I think what really allowed me to believe in that versus some stinky games is, they've really committed to the run. You need to be able to run the ball in January. And James Cook led the league in rushing. And, Josh Allen didn't need to be the superstar. I mean, if you have Josh Allen in fantasy, he had a couple duds for you down the stretch, but Bills were able to win. But the game was the Patriots game, round 2. Patriots go up 21-0. Looks like it's going to be a shellacking. New kid on the block. Bills come back and win that game. Josh Allen, masterclass, second half. That's all I needed to see. And I think they cruise to the Super Bowl on the AFC. And then I think he has enough in him. They've got a balanced offense. He's the mastermind on the block. They'll have 2 home games, maybe even a third. The Chicago Bears are coming out of the NFC.
That's because you have that future ticket on them, and you just want that white elephant gift to cash.
No, I actually don't. That's just a little nod there. I do think Seattle. I think Darnold got a wake up. I know what you just said, but I think Darnold last year got a real baptism. Also going 15-2 or 14-3 last year, but having to take the road route. I just think what Seattle has cooking up there is, I was very impressed with their win over San Francisco to keep the 1 seed. The Rams do concern me quite a bit, especially that fluky win, I would say, in Seattle's favor in that overtime win versus the Rams, 3 weeks ago? So I was just going to say it's the Rams or Seahawks for me. We have a group future on the Rams, so I would not be upset to see them in the Super Bowl. But I just believe in, every year when we do our playoff predictions, we always kind of hold true to there's never been more than 65%. So there's always at least 6 team turnover from the previous year in the playoffs. And I just think that's one of those stats where it's on your side. I know those are all different teams than what they're playing, just because of the game scripts and what team's position that they're in. So I don't see 2 wild card teams getting it in. So I like Seattle and Buffalo, and I like the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's probably a more measured approach. Gun to my head, give me the Rams.
Devontae going to be good to go?
I'm a coward. Give me the Broncos. Rams, Broncos. If you want the real answer.
Oh, God.
Very cowardly. But
Devontae going to be good to go?
Yeah. He was a full participant in practice today, as was Quentin Lake, their safety that they just extended, who's a big part of their defense, who's missed the last couple of games. So
for sure.
They're getting healthy at the right time.
See if they quit fucking around in the backfield and just let Kyron eat in the playoffs.
100%, man. Like, you don't need to play hero ball against the Panthers and, the Falcons. You don't need Stafford throwing 2 or 3 interceptions. Just let the offense cook. Just let him be.
I love it. I love the bonus NFL segment. Playoffs look awesome. Obviously, changing of the guard. And then, of course, we didn't even talk about them. Eagles defending Super Bowl champions, sitting there with a home game and a potential path to a repeat that no one's talking about. But I think they have their flaws, and that's why no one's talking about them.
Well, I think that game is fascinating because you have like the 49ers who just a week ago people were talking about like, oh, this team might be going to the Super Bowl. And now what? Because they lost one game to the Seahawks, all of a sudden we're just like casting them away. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand they don't have a bye. They're not at home. I get that. But they should get Trent Williams back this week. They should get Ricky Pearsall back this week. I think they have a very legitimate shot to beat the Eagles. Where my concern is, of course, is that 49er defense, which, it's not good. Despite only somehow giving up 13 points to the Seahawks, it should have been at least 27. It's not good, and they just lost another starting linebacker for the playoffs. So, yeah.
Oh man, I love Purdy so much that he fucking deserved one before his career's over.
Well, hopefully he's got a long way to go.
I think he does. Awesome. Thanks for sticking around with us for longer than expected. I can't wait for just playoff weekend in both leagues. It's that time of the year. We got to cherish every one of these games because we only have about a dozen football games left until the offseason.
Yeah, we really do. So that's it for me. Appreciate you all, and have a great time watching these games this weekend. Peace.
Good luck. Love you. Bye.